Hello, and welcome to a new dashboards workshop where we here in OIEP in the Office of Institutional Effectiveness and Planning have an opportunity to share with you some of the dashboards that we've created, looking at degrees, faculty and staff diversity, as well as students' evaluations of teaching. My name is Matthew DeSantis. I'm the Executive Director of Institutional Effectiveness, and here today are several of my colleagues in the Office of OIEP. I'll turn things over to John Doris to introduce himself.
Hi, John Doris, Director of Research and Analysis in the office.
Hello, I'm Nana Sassani. I'm Senior Analytics Associate.
Unfortunately, Rava Jassim is not able to join us today, but Lisa.
Hello, Lisa Nguyen, Director of Data Analytics. And so the workshop outcomes that we have outlined here today include, by the end of this workshop, participants will be able to locate readily accessible resources in order to fully utilize all of our OIEP dashboards, be able to locate those dashboards on our website, and learn how to navigate the degrees and faculty, the degrees dashboard, faculty and staff dashboards, as well as the student evaluations of teaching dashboard. So there are a few items that we like to share with you before we review those dashboards. The first is, if accessing our dashboards off campus, you need to make sure that you are connected to the VPN in order to be able to access those dashboards. If you are on campus, you do not need to be connected to the VPN. Another item that we want to share with you includes our glossary of terms. This glossary of terms assists users with frequent data terms and definitions. As you interact with our various dashboards, our various reports, you'll encounter a lot of terms that you may not be familiar with. And so this glossary of terms will allow you to better understand our reports and our dashboards as you navigate them. It is an evolving glossary of terms. So if you have a term, if you encounter a term that you're unfamiliar with, please reach out to us and we are happy to add that term and the definition to our glossary of terms. Many of the terms that we have defined here are based on state as well as federal reporting requirements. So you'll see in some of our definitions a parentheses that indicates SHEV or IPEDS. That indicates that the definition that we have used here is based on that federal or state reporting requirement. And the third resource that we would like to share with you is our dashboards and reports directory. This is a comprehensive list of dashboards and reports that we have available to you, available on our website for all individuals to have access to. So the index, because OIEP has such a plethora of reports and dashboards, we want to make it easy for you as users of these reports and dashboards to navigate to the various dashboards that meet your needs. And so this index lists all of the resources, all of the data tools that you have available, and have markers to share with you very quickly what pieces, what types of data are available in those reports, so that you can see very quickly using this index if that particular report meets the data needs that you are looking for. It also provides information on how frequently a particular report, a particular dashboard is updated, such as the official tenure degrees awarded dashboard that we will be presenting on shortly. That is updated every year in September. So you can expect to see the data refreshed to reflect the most recent academic year each September. And in terms of how to navigate to our OIEP dashboards, if you go to oiep.gmu.edu, our website, click on Data Analytics, and then you can click onto Analytics, and that will take you to all of our dashboards and reports that are available to you. So for today, we'll start with reviewing the degrees dashboard, and Matthew will be reviewing that here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. This is what the degrees dashboard will look like. And so let's take a look at this in real time on the website. And just to show you some of the functionality that we have with the degrees page. And so what you're seeing here is a 10-year trend line of degrees awarded at Mason. One of the things that we've done in OIEP is we really want to give users the ability to filter down and drill down into specific data that's going to be useful for them, whether that's for academic program review, annual planning, or perhaps even working on a grant a faculty member might be doing or a staff member might be working on. A lot of valuable information looking at how Mason has changed over this 10-year period. As you can see here, there's a couple of things I want to draw your attention to that all of our dashboards have. First is there is an About This Dashboard tab. This outlines some of the general terminology that Lisa was mentioning earlier. If you don't maybe have time to look through the entire glossary of terms, this will at least let you know about the definitions that are relevant to this particular dashboard. Also, it can just give you some quick tips about how to utilize the dashboard. Once you're ready to dive in, you can go to the 10-year degree dashboard tab, and you'll see that there's a number of drop-down menus on the left-hand side, as well as a drop-down menu here in the center of the screen. Now, it's important to point out that if you start to filter here on the left and then select a drop-down menu here in the middle, it'll actually clear your selections from here. So if you know you want to look at certain categories, let's say you're interested in looking at race ethnicity, let's set that first so you can take a look at what this might look like at the entire institution in terms of degrees awarded over this 10-year period by race ethnicity. You can also see here on the right portion of your screen, the percent change in degree count from the previous year. So you can see the increase that we've been experiencing over the last several years here at Mason. Now, in terms of utilizing this and drilling down, it's really very point and click, but let's say you're interested in looking at a particular department or a major. And so in this instance, let's use a major that's relatively large, like psychology is just an example. So if you come down here and scroll through the various options and you click on psychology, you can see here what the psychology degrees awarded looks like over that 10-year period. Now, psychology has several different degree offerings, and so you could look at degree level. You could look at the undergraduate, the bachelor's, the doctorate level. So in this case, let's just look at the bachelor's, which has a BA and a BS. You can certainly disaggregate by that if you want to. If you would like to just look at the BA, you could certainly do that. If you want to look at the two together, just unselect. And this way you can see, again, some trends over time that are starting to become evident when it comes to race ethnicity. The primary one being over the last 10 years, you've seen a significant increase in the number of Hispanics earning degrees in psychology during that time, going from only being about 12% of the overall share of degrees now up to over 25%. So more than doubling the number of degrees awarded to Hispanics within psychology during that period of time. You can drill down further looking at state or out-of-state options. You can also look at things such as also want to bring attention to Pell eligibility. So if you want to look at students who are Pell eligible, for instance, this can also start to give you a little bit more depth and insight into the types of students that are graduating from the different majors. Now, up at the top, when you have all these filters, you can just start Xing them out if you want to go back, essentially. So just X out psychology if you want to go back to the main overall view here of the institution and start over again. And again, you can drill down in any number of areas. If you just want to look, let's say, at the college or school level, let's just say College of Science, you can certainly do that. Like I said, you can see how your department or your program may compare to others within your school, within your college for those particular areas. Now, if you are someone who really needs this data in a more traditional way, looking like an Excel chart or something like that, if you click on the third tab, 10-year degrees awarded tabular, that's what you'll get. You'll get essentially a little bit of a colored Excel chart. And works in a very similar way where you can drill down to your specific level. You can get this data as you would like. And the nice part about all of this data is that it is exportable. So when you hover over any of these screens, any of these tabs, you can just see this little 3 dots that pop up. Click on that. You can either save the image or you can export the underlying data. And this will allow you to look at this in more detail if you'd like on your own. So I wanted to turn things over to my colleague, John Doris, so you could talk a little bit more about the faculty staff dashboards.
Thanks, Matthew. So I'm going to be walking through the faculty staff dashboard. It displays demographic data for all of Mason's faculty and staff. As you can see on the left, users can filter by a variety of variables: college, department, various employee categories, and so on. So I thought it might be easiest just to walk through an example to demonstrate how the different filters work. So suppose you were tasked with identifying trends in full-time instructional faculty diversity in a particular college. So let's use College of Humanities and Social Sciences for an example. You would choose the college there. Oh, and it's also probably worth noting that we do have a campus filter at the top. That's so Mason Korea folks, well, because Matthew chose chess and there's no chess folks in Mason Korea. Yeah, so if you were at Mason Korea and you just wanted to see your faculty and staff, you could choose that. But for pretty much any college level analysis, it's kind of a moot point, since Mason Korea is its own distinct unit in the sense of this dashboard. So anyway, so suppose you chose chess as a division you wanted to look at. The next filter is department, but we don't need to necessarily choose a department. We could if we wanted to, but you can also just look at college level data. So you're seeing the various departments in chess there. You could choose a gender. Right now, we just want to look at all faculty within chess, but as Matthew's showing, you could choose male or female. The next filter is employee category. So if you wanted to, in our example, look at instructional faculty, you would choose instructional tenure track, instructional tenured, and instructional term. Those are the 3 categories we have for full-time faculty there. Oh, and then you could choose full-time there in the next, because there are a handful of part-time tenure line folks. You could also choose a specific faculty rank. For this example, we won't choose one, but that is an option. And so now what we're looking at here is trends in demographics for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences for their instructional full-time faculty since fall 2015. So you could see that they have increased the number from 355 in fall 2015 to 395. Users can also look at demographic data in 2 ways. There's the bar charts on the top, and if you hovered over a particular category, you can see the head count and the percentage. Sometimes it's easier because some of these categories have a very small number of faculty. It's easier just to look at the table below that. This is just tabular data. So for example, if you wanted to look at underrepresented minority faculty, you could look at Hispanic or Latino or Black or African American faculty and see both the head count. So for example, fall 2015, there were 11 Hispanic faculty, and they comprise 3.1% of all instructional faculty at Mason. And then you could see the various years. And yet this is dynamic. So what happened there is Matthew clicked on the Hispanic, and so it's now filtering. And this is probably a good time to also talk about the breadcrumb trail there at the top. So you could see the various filters there: humanities and social sciences, several employee categories, and full-time that have been selected. That's always a handy reference to see what you're filtering by. And it's also probably the easiest way to remove filters. So if you wanted to, Matthew, you can just unclick up there. You could also, of course, remove it from the left panel as well from those filters, but I find it's just a little easier to use that breadcrumb trail. And it's also worth noting that we are looking at head count there. You can also look at FTE on that separate tab. So the functionality, sort of the look and feel is the same. However, this is displaying FTE, full-time equivalency, as opposed to head count. So in our previous example with full-time faculty, it didn't make a difference, but in this case, for example, if you were curious about adjunct faculty who are typically teaching less than 1 FTE, you could select adjuncts alone. And Matthew selected adjuncts in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and you can see the FTE data for those adjuncts. And similarly, you could hover over in the bar graph to get specific percentages, or you could look at those percentages or numbers in the tabular data below. And I think Matthew covered this, but just as a reminder, you can also export both the image by clicking Save Image, or you can export the data as an Excel or a CSV if you want to do some more analysis on your own, or if you wanted to include an image in a PowerPoint presentation, for example. So that's all I have for that dashboard.
Okay, thank you, John. I'm going to be showcasing the Student Evaluations of Teaching, or SET dashboard. So the first tab of this dashboard contains box plots displaying response rate by school college, and you can select by term. So each box plot displays the spread of the response rate distribution. So if you hover over a box plot, you will see various statistical measures displayed, as you see right now, such as minimum, maximum, median. So the left edge of the box represents the first quartile, i.e. 25% of the data falls below this value and 75% above. The right edge of the box represents the third quartile, i.e. 75% of the data falls below this value and 25% above. The median, represented by the line in the box, indicates 50% of the data goes below and 50% is above this point. If there is more variability in a school or college's response rates, you will see a larger spread in the box plot itself. And it's also important to take into consideration the ends in each school college. So let's take a look at an example. If we use the drop-down menu to select a term, so let's select fall 2021, you will see the various box plots and statistics adjust accordingly to that term's results. So looking at chess, for example, the highest response rate of course achieved was 100%, and the lowest response rate of course achieved was 6.8%. The median is 37.5%. So this indicates that half of the data is below this value and half of the data is above this value. So let's move to the next tab titled Instructional Mode / Level. So here we see set response rates for available terms by instructional mode and level. Instructional modes include face-to-face, hybrid, online asynchronous, and online synchronous. The variable level is made up of undergraduate, graduate, and law. And this is in terms of the course level, not the student level. We've also included a filter, so a user can filter by school college. As noted with the box plots, it's important to take into consideration the ends for each group. So as we look at these in general, we see that face-to-face courses typically have the higher response rates than online courses. Online asynchronous courses generally have lower response rates than the other groups. From term to term in each level, graduate courses typically have higher response rates than undergrad courses. And so let's now take a look at another example using these graphs. So using the drop-down filter, Let's look at the College of Science. At the graduate level, over the available terms, the response rate for hybrid courses appears to drop off dramatically. However, if you hover over the graphs, you can take note of the ends in each term. It's quite small. So for both levels, undergraduate and graduate, response rates for face-to-face courses decreased from spring 21 to fall 21 as the number of courses offered with this instructional mode increased. At the undergrad level, for online asynchronous courses from spring 21 to fall 21, the number of courses offered with this instructional mode decreased, whilst the response rate increased. So these are just some of the, what you can garner from looking at these graphs and the information you can gain. Finally, if you'd like to see this tab in tabular versus graphical format, you can refer to the last tab in the dashboard, instructional mode /level table. Here you can use the drop-down filter to select an available term. So the table represents the response rates and end by level, instructional mode, and school college. So for example, if we select the term spring 2021, we can see there were, for example, if we look at the College of Science, I'm sorry, if we look at spring 2021 and we look at College of Science, we can see that there were 98 face-to-face courses overall, both undergraduate and graduate, and they had an average response rate of 50.5%. Whereas if we look at, for example, undergraduate hybrid courses in the College of Science for this same term, we have 36 courses with an average response rate of 73.3%. And that's my presentation on the SET dashboard.
So thank you very much for viewing this workshop. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us listed here we have our information here, and we are happy to address any questions or queries that you might have with regards to those. But thank you again for listening, and we hope you are a regular user of our OIEP dashboards. Thank you.